Hey everybody, it's Janice with Creating Through Chaos, and today we're going to make a Valentine mixed media shelf sitter. So I grabbed one of these signs from the St. Patrick's Day section at Dollar Tree. This is going to be our base. I had this heart doily. I grabbed some burlap, a paper doily, but I didn't end up using it. It was too big. Another strip of burlap with lace on either side, one of the grapevine hearts, a little bow that I made out of some different mixed materials, one of the little Dollar Tree hearts that I covered in scrapbook paper, a couple of silver strings, love written out in Scrabble letters, a funky button, and a little rosette, and some other little doodads that I'm going to use, and then some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. So it's kind of a lot of things, so I'm just going to kind of tell you as I add them. You can use your own things. These are just stuff I had in my scrap pile of stuff, so I just kind of mixed a bunch of things together. So the first thing I did was sand the sign, because it had some glitter on it, and I didn't want the glitter to push out of the scrapbook paper. So I sanded it, and then I just wiped it down. And then I painted the whole sign like an off-white color. It was like an antique white. And I even painted over the lettering on the front of the sign. You don't have to, but I always like to have everything just be finished. So I had my piece of scrapbook paper that I had pre-cut. So I'm just going to Mod Podge that on. And I absolutely love the vintage Shabby Chic style of this scrapbook paper. And like I said, I got that from Hobby Lobby. I'm just going to put my scrapbook paper on, smooth it out with my hands, make sure it's centered. And I had cut it a little big on the one side, so I'm going to take my sanding block and sand around all of the edges. I also just like the way that that gives it a vintage look and shabby chic look too. So once I had it all sanded on all sides, I'm ready to start applying all my other little trinkets and treasures that I had. So I grabbed the piece of burlap, and it's just a thin strip. I didn't measure sizes for anything. Like I said, just use what you have in your stash, and just kind of, I just mismatched it all together. So I grabbed my piece of burlap, and I Mod Podged it to the top, and only the top. And like I said, this is mixed media, so it's just kind of like whatever you got on hand, just add it as long as it looks good to you. Doesn't really matter. So then on top of that burlap piece, I put my burlap ribbon with the lace, and I made sure I cut it to size. And I just hot glued that into place. And I think it looks even good just like that. And then I took one of my silver ribbons, and I ran it on the bottom half of the burlap strip, and I just hot glued that into place. And I used my little rubber spatula so I wouldn't burn my fingers. And see, the paper doily was just too big. It covered everything, so I didn't end up using it. So I just went with my regular heart doily. I think I got that at a thrift store a long time ago. So I just added some hot glue around the edges of the doily. My hot glue gun loved to give me a hard time for this. And then I kind of put it at an angle so that the point was down on the right-hand side. I used my rubberless spatula to make sure that it was all stuck. Next, I had a little mini heart doily, and I glued that to the bottom left-hand corner, also at an angle. And look how cute it is already. And like I said, one of those wooden hearts from Dollar Tree I just covered with the same scrapbook paper that I used. And then I took one of those silver strings that I had and I wrapped it completely around the heart. So I just hot glued it into place to give it like a vintage vibe. And I just went all the way around the heart with it. Super cute. And then I just used the little sticker and I just hot glued right there. And then I just kind of laid it over the top of the little doily and kind of on the other doily. So like in the middle of the two, also at an angle. Next, I took the grapevine heart and I laid it right over the top of the big heart doily. And I just used some hot glue to do that. And I just held it for a minute into place to make sure that it stuck. And this project was super fun. I just got to use all kinds of different materials and all the things that I had had in my stash for such a long time that I never got to use. And I love the way this is turning out. So then I had one of those strip, I don't even know, they're like jewels from Dollar Tree. So I used one of those on the wooden heart from Dollar Tree. And I just cut it to size and laid it in the center. Then I took my little rosette and I glued it in between the mini heart doily and that wooden heart. And then I took my little bow that I made out of muslin and some raffia. And I just did a crisscross bow. And see how adorable that is? Then I glued my little button in the center of my bow. And the button has like little gems on it, so it kind of matches the little heart that I just put the little gems on. Then I took my Scrabble letters and I wrote the word love up in the top left-hand corner, also at an angle. And that's it. I absolutely adore the way this came out. It's like shabby chic vintage mixed media. It's so cute. Then I just trimmed off the edges a little bit. And that's it. I hope this inspires you guys to make your own. I think this came out amazing and I cannot wait to display it. Thank you all so much for watching and please don't forget to sprinkle.